will be Dr. Jacqueline Romanow from the Green Party of Canada, running in Winnipeg Centre, I believe. Ms. Jacqueline Romanow.
Grand Chief Evans, Grand Chief Harper, elders, youth, I thank you for this opportunity. The glaring exception to everything one loves about Canada can be found in the profound inequality of life on First Nation reserves and life for off-reserve urban Aboriginal people across this country. Water that is too hazardous to drink, serious health problems from diabetes to tuberculosis, addiction and suicide, unacceptably poor housing stock, high unemployment, all make a mockery of our progress elsewhere in maintaining our social safety net. Canada would like to forget that white South Africa based apartheid on Canadian Aboriginal policy. Many non-natives are unaware of the fundamental human rights violations occurring within our midst. Canadian Aboriginal people, First Nations, Métis and Inuit know that the fundamental assumption of colonial power since the Europeans first arrived in what is now Canada has been a policy of assimilation. Unbeknownst to most non-natives and even some First Nations, that the ultimate disposition of land claims agreements is the extinguishment of Aboriginal title. There is an inherent right of Indigenous people, and its extinguishment violates international human rights law. Various human rights committees within the United Nations have frequently been critical of Canada's treatment of and laws regarding Aboriginal people. Finally, in November of 2010, after years of stalling, the current government of Canada quietly signed the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. The delay was unconscionable and embarrassing. Now, the time for action has come. As government, the Greens would move to implement the UN Declaration. We will also restore a $5.1 billion commitment and the specifics of the Kelowna Accord from back in 2005. One of the central features of this accord, reached between federal, provincial, and territorial and First Nations governments, is the creation of baselines. Baselines are critical to assess levels of Aboriginal health and well-being. The issues and impacts on Aboriginal people are complex and cannot be addressed without a full sense of the searing violence of generations of occupation and assault upon traditional culture and values. No Canadian should be satisfied with the failed policies of the Indian Act, the huge bureaucracy of Indian and Northern Affairs, and the enormous outlays of funding for lawyers and experts in the interminable comprehensive claims process. Something fundamental needs to shift, and that shift must begin with dignity for all Aboriginal people, respect, and an end to policies of assimilation, and a strong support for health and education on and off reserve. Our shift in attitude will mean a true nation-to-nation dialogue and negotiations. It will mean a just accommodation of Aboriginal people's aspirations and an equitable sharing of Canada's natural resources. It will mean full recognition of the cultural, political, and economic contributions of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in Canada, and an end to prejudice. The Green Party will honour Canada's fiduciary responsibility and the Aboriginal rights, treaty rights, and other rights of Aboriginal peoples, including their inherent right to self-government. In partnership with Aboriginal people, work towards the creation of an Aboriginal Lands and Treaty Tribunal to establish an independent body to decide on specific claims. Immediately implement land claims agreements already negotiated and languishing for lack of funding. Review all existing federal policies on self-government in consultation with Aboriginal representatives to ensure they are achieving the goals of Aboriginal people. Ensure the negotiation of treaties and self-government are not based on the extinguishment of Aboriginal title and rights, not assimilation, but on reconciliation of rights and title. That negotiations recognize the diversity of traditional self-governance. Full implementation of the recommendations of the 1996 RCAP report, remember that, the Royal Commission on Aboriginal Peoples, and thereby embarking on a true nation-to-nation negotiation on a full range of outstanding legal issues and land claims. Ensure that Canada upholds the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, not just as an aspirational document, but as a real and working document. That pretty much sums it up, guys. Thank you very much.